Hello, and welcome to Provident Home Healthcare's Minnesota Homecare Orientation. My name is Ben Peterson, registered nurse with Provident Home Healthcare, and today we're going to be discussing Minnesota Home and Hospice Statutes 144A.43 through 144A.49. Any licensed home care provider must assure all employees have been orientated to the items below. These items include home care statutes, home care bill of rights, client complaints and procedures for reporting complaints, services for ombudsman for older adults, reporting maltreatment of vulnerable adults and children, and emergency plan and use of emergency services. Overview of home care statutes. Number 1. Licensure. Any provider of home care in the state of Minnesota must be licensed. The purpose of licensure is to make sure people providing care are qualified, clients are kept safe, and to provide a quality mechanism for monitoring and responding to problems. Requirements for home care providers. Home care providers must screen all employees for license. They must screen for any criminal convictions. They must screen for tuberculosis. And they must adhere to guidelines for medication and treatment orders. Number 3, type of license. There are multiple licenses given to various home care providers. Provident Home Healthcare has a Class A license. This is for providers who provide services in clients' residences or in their homes. Specific providers include nurses, PCAs, and respiratory therapists. Overview of Home Care Bill of Rights. The Home Care Bill of Rights is to inform care recipients verbally and in writing of their rights to make informed decisions regarding their care. The bill also provides mechanisms for consumer complaints and grievances. Requirements regarding the Home Care Bill of Rights include a complaint process must be explained and provided in writing for both interagency complaints and complaints to the Department of Health Services. A written copy must be provided at the time of admission to the client. And the client must have signed verification of the receipt of the Bill of Rights. Client complaints and procedure for reporting. Requirements for procedure and reporting. Providers must list the name and title of the individual in the organization complaints should be directed to. A procedure for reporting within the agency and to the Department of Health Services must be explained. The provider must have signed statements that no complaints or grievances will result in retaliation by the agency. And lastly, contact information for the home care hotline and Ombudsman Office for older adults must be provided to the care recipient. Explanation of services from the Ombudsman Office of Older Adults. MN home care requirements require an explanation of what this office does. This is a public advocacy group for recipients of home health services. They handle complaints and concerns about home health services. They provide public education in regards to home health services. And they provide legislative advocacy in response to complaints they've received. Reporting maltreatment of vulnerable adults and children. Statute 626.556 and Statute 626.557 require abuse or neglect either observed or suspected of any vulnerable individual to be reported. Civil damages could result if it's not reported. So who is a vulnerable individual? A vulnerable individual is anyone who is unable or unlikely to report abuse or neglect. Who to report to? A supervisor within the agency or the Department of Health Services if the reporter is uncomfortable or unable to report to an interagency supervisor. What are the requirements for a report? It must be written. The report must contain the name, address, and phone number of the vulnerable individual. The report must contain a description of the event and the date and time of the event. It must include the name of the reporter and the individuals involved. And lastly, how the incident was investigated and the findings from that investigation must be included. Emergency plan and use of emergency services. Emergency plans must be developed before the start of care and include the following: a contingency plan if services cannot be provided, a method to contact the agency in the event of an emergency, contact information for outside agency assistance in the event of an emergency must be provided, circumstances where emergency services would not be called must be documented, rules regarding living wills and DNR statuses must be followed, and care recipients must be orientated to the emergency plan upon admission. This has been a summary of Minnesota Home and Hospice Programs Statutes 144A.43 through 144A.49. Again, my name is Ben Peterson with Provident Home Healthcare, and thank you for your attention.